Good morning, my friends. How is everybody today? I did not sleep very long last night. I had a hard time going to sleep, and I woke up really early. I think I might have gotten 6.5 hours. I'm not real sure why, but it's going to make for a really long day today. I got a lot of stuff on my plate. Astra's over here curled up next to me. That's who I'm petting here. Today's card is Divine Might Foretold, and it's the elk. And the elk is one of Father Sky's energy animals, I guess is the word I'm looking for. The elk, the stag, the deer, these are all masculine animal connectors. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Father Divine, very much a masculine card. And I had to really sit with that one. I went through a phase, well, it's not a phase, it's just kind of the spiritual growth pattern that I went through, where I was really connecting to a lot of the male balancers, trying to find my balance, right, between masculine and feminine, my connection to both. I have a pretty long history of being told that I can come across kind of masculine, which I think is kind of funny, but anyway. So the card is Divine Might Foretold. Nothing we do escapes the attention of the spiritual world. You're never alone. You always have a crowd around you. Energy cannot be destroyed, and we are electrical bodies that house just a fraction of our spirit, and we fill a large area around our physical bodies. We cradle, and we vibrate, and we hold with that energy all of the time. Energy isn't really good or bad, it just is. But it does change frequency and vibration and resonance. And truth resonates, and false resonates. Restorative action and balancing fairness is always an action at a high level. According to divine timing and innate wisdom, when you stay true to your truth and stay true to the right action in the face of manipulation, deception, or selfishness, the more capacity to impact your spiritual energy into your community. Being in a place of spiritual influence will mean standing apart from those who demonstrate a less inner strength. When you refuse to compromise your truth, you will be able to lift up others who use their ego and limitations to understand or impose a standard of living or having things. The expectation of having things to give you status and ego. Divine Father sends the power of elk, and the elk encourage us to take care of one another, to create community. Pursuing a path of justice requires truth and honesty and willingness to fail. Empowerment comes from our Empowerment comes from invoking our souls to uphold consciousness, not to dominate or take from each other, but to support and bring forward the qualities of the soul that inspire others for self-healing. I think that kind of what bubbled up for me with this card was really something that I was struggling with as I was kind of going to sleep last night. I teach a lot of different kinds of people, right? And normally, when it's time for me to teach someone and they come into my realm, it's because they were led there. Somehow, some way, they were led there. And I share and I support and I guide and I do the best that I can, right? And every once in a while, that person gets to a certain point where they just can't grow anymore and they go on their way. And I'm not hurt by that. That doesn't bother my ego. I teach. And every once in a while, somebody's kind of brought into my sphere that they're not ready. And I had somebody back last spring who I had an interaction with. She was in one of my classes, and she wasn't ready. She was not ready at all. And rather than just step away, she created a vibrational influence and interference with a couple others. And that interference and that energy has lasted now for almost a year. She's moving out of my sphere. I won't have any interactions with her after the next couple weeks, but I gave her the grace of filling her space as she saw fit. What I didn't do that I should have done is called out that negative energy spread at the time. And I didn't, and that's my journey. Every teacher learns from their students. Every teacher learns from their experiences. If you're not learning from your students, you're not teaching. Like, it's all interpersonal connection, people. We have to learn from each other. I learn all the time. And I welcome that learning because it helps me become a better teacher for someone else. And anyway, this particular person that's created this kind of negative thing, I've had a couple interactions with her in the last couple months, and it's always very sad on my part. I feel sad. Not that she doesn't like me. That's her choice. That doesn't make me sad. That she acts kind of hostile and rude and kind of disrespectful. That doesn't make me sad. I'm not even hurt by that. What makes me sad is that she is in a place working with a whole group of people that can show her and reflect back to her that it doesn't have to be scary. I know underneath her dislike of me, there's fear. There's preconceived biases and preconceived ideas, and there's fear that's in the middle of that. And that's the part that makes me sad, that she's surrounded by all of these beautiful people that teach and love to work with people, and fellow students that are very aware of this world we live in and its complexity and connection. And she can't get there in the sense that she could get there, right? If she chose to work through her fear and allow the community to support her, she can't get there. She's so afraid that she's surrounded by all these people, and she allows her judgments and her preconceived ideas and her fear to get in the way of her growth. And I've given a little bit of energy to this person in a sense that I have allowed her to fill her space. And when my sadness kicks in, I conscientiously give her grace. I give her space for truth. And I attempt every single time to surround myself with compassion and grace and patience and awareness that I know she's afraid and that it's okay. And this young lady is going through there's something I have to go into the school this evening and participate in. That's where I'm going with this. I have to go in. Oh, I don't have to go, but I'm going because I think it's really important to go in and be a part of what's going on tonight so that I can be 100% present and give restorative action in fairness and balance and truth, because I know that that impacts people in a positive way. Even though I know she's afraid, I have the trust that her fear and her manipulations and deceptions and selfishness that come from that fear if I do or say anything that at all with being in that place of grace and positive, it's not just being positive. I'm not talking about false positivity. I'm talking about truly being present in a place of peace, my place of peace, and give back compassion and grace. And yeah, she can be kind of harsh and cranky and whatever, rude. That's okay. And she may not realize, she really truly may not realize that she's putting off that energy and that her behavior is mean, really, from fear. It's from fear, and I know that. But I feel like it's really important for me to be authentically in a place of peace with grace and acceptance and allow her to fill her space so that down the line, even if she's not aware of it, down the line in her life, if she chooses to turn around and not be afraid and work through those things, she has some kind of subconscious support of an action of someone in her past that gave her that grace to grow so that she doesn't have to be afraid. When you're a teacher, I'm a teacher, and I look at the small things that I have done over the years that I wasn't really sure if they would work or if they would have impact or if it would make a difference. And not all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. But when it does happen, that someone comes back and says, it was this little thing. And most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, if I sit and really reflect about what gift they're giving back to me, the giving back of that validation and honor that my mindfulness and my grace and my compassion truly helped them in a time that they needed it, and it empowered them to grow. That makes all of the rough circumstances, all of the really hard work worth it. Because it's not about my ego. It's about my service to others. And your service to others doesn't have to be cans for the food shelter. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. And sometimes the smallest action and the smallest act of grace and love and compassion and giving people freedom of choice to fill their space how they need to in their journey can be the most supportive, empowering, loving thing that you can do by upholding and empowering others to fill their space. It doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. Don't allow yourself to be a rug. I've done that. I've accidentally, without meaning to, in giving somebody the grace to fill their space, become manipulated, become the rug. And I work through that all the time. But empowering comes from love and grace and support, and upholding their consciousness and upholding their choice. Not to dominate, not to get credit for it. Like, ooh, look, I supported you. Now I want validation. That's the farthest thing from my mind at all, actually. But it's to support and help them move forward and work on their thing, whatever their soul is working on, whatever their consciousness is working on, or their subconscious, to inspire them to self-heal and become aware. And I can't help everybody. And this student, I couldn't help. I couldn't help her. And I know that. And it's okay. But I can go to this thing tonight, and I can give her the space. And maybe it helps her down the line. Maybe it won't. Maybe it never will. Maybe her entire life will never be a one of awareness and connection. That's okay too. Not everybody gets there. But I think it's my job as a teacher to support. Today's prayer is, I call upon the energies of Mother Earth, Divine Father, and my ancestors. I accept the love of Divine into my heart, and I let go of my prejudices and my worries. I treasure the gift of integrity that enables me to feel for truth if Divine Presence through my choices and actions. May I listen to Divine Father and hear Him and not turn away. May I receive mercy and encouragement in the face of stumbling. May I forgive myself and others freely. May I stay true to my path and allow others to walk their own without judgment. I honor the power of justice, discipline, and truth. I honor flowing and merciful connection through and into the world. I thank the divine and my ancestors' knowledge in love and trust. I honor and serve with love and trust. Blessed be. A teacher does not teach you of their own knowing. They can only lead you to the doors of your own awareness, your own knowingness, your own remembering. We are vast spiritual beings with many, many lives, and some of us have been all across the universe. Different realms, different layers of awareness. I don't pretend to understand it all. Anybody that does might want to question. I learn stuff all the time. But I know that when you're learning, a good teacher shows you what you already know and gives you the support and the faith and the trust in that knowingness, and helps you in your connection with who you are, and helps you grow through trauma into the other side of healing. And if all I ever do in my life is to support others in growing into themselves so that they can love themselves and be truly honoring of the self, then I've done my job. I have no idea why this is so powerful. This is what I was falling asleep last night thinking of it, and then I drew this card and I was like, wow, that's what Father Sky is. Father Sky is strength and support, and having that resilience to be true to yourself. And when you're truly true to yourself, not with ego and deception and the idea of getting recognition for it, leaving that to the side, Father Sky's power is that strength to hold to truth and justice and honor and integrity. And when you speak your truth and when you walk the walk of living your life through your truth, you are going to stand alone, and it's going to feel like sometimes the world doesn't get it and stands against you. I feel like my entire life I've been the oddball in the room. I have been the oddball in the room, and it's okay. But I've stuck to it. I've stuck to my truth. And when I've done that, I've been so much happier. Went to the dentist yesterday. Not my favorite thing. I actually got called at the last minute to get pulled in early because I was like, actually, they've had staffing issues. Anyway, my dentist was so funny. He goes, "You are so happy." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Are you still working at the hotel?" And I was like, "No, I'm writing my book and I'm teaching and I'm running my business and I'm doing my thing." And he goes, "Wow, it shows." He goes, you light up a room. Do you know that you light up a room?" And I was like, "No." And maybe that's also what I was thinking about last night, like following my truth. It feels good to get validation that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And we all need that. So have a blessed day, my friends. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you in prayer next week. Have a blessed weekend. Have a blessed day. And I wish upon you to walk your path of truth. Blessed be.